Hey there, folks. Zane from the Infinite Jukebox, aka the number one Fred Again fan, here with another quick album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Serpent with Feet record, Grip. Being a relatively big name within contemporary R&B, one would expect the youthful career of Josiah Wise, aka Serpent with Feet, to be filled with the sort of fiery freshness that really defines the modern era of R&B and all of its subsequent subgenres. But ironically, I actually feel like he represents some of the worst elements of relatively mainstream R&B, more so than a lot of names that are significantly bigger than his. I mean, I don't hate the guy or anything like that, but artists like Arlo Parks, Kali Uchis, SZA, Kalela, etc. are individuals that I feel are really showing just how great of a place R&B is in as a genre in the present day, creating tracks and records that are likely to go down as modern classics that really push the boundaries of the genre, while at the same time, in some cases, having more critical acclaim than Josiah Wise or having more commercial success. And I don't hate the guy or anything like that, but I really do find it kind of odd how his studio albums up to this point have managed to consistently just be one letdown after the next. His discography is very limited up to this point, but so far there just isn't really much to say about it. And while I would love for him to finally put out an album that I could talk about on this channel and give praise and, maybe give a little bit of attention towards the limited amount of attention that my channel would give him, I kind of can't help but feel like Grip is maybe some of his weakest material to date, which is really disappointing to say. As far as vocals go, Josiah Wise never really impresses here. I mean, he's undeniably talented in that department. There's no denying the fact that the man is very capable as a vocalist, but at the same time, it often feels like he's noticeably restrained. He doesn't really show off a huge range here, and he doesn't manage to maintain any sort of distinct personality that really sets him apart from a lot of his peers, causing there to really be no separation between him and a lot of other landfill R&B that people, generally speaking, don't really talk about. He is one of the bigger names within this kind of era of alternative R&B, if you will, but at the same time, I can't help but feel, listening to this record in particular, like this is not at all a good representation of the better side of the genre at the moment. And the reason that I repeat myself in that regard is because I really do feel like a unique artistic direction could have aided him here. I'm not saying that he would have made a masterpiece if he had gone crazy experimental, but I really do feel like him maybe trying to go in a different direction that you don't really see in one way or another, whatever that direction would have been, would have at least provided him the leverage to do something memorable and interesting. But the sort of trap soul fusion that you hear on this record throughout tracks like Rum/Throwback and the album closer 1 to 10 is being done by so many artists out there right now in such a more interesting light, and I don't understand why you would want to listen to those tracks on this record when, I don't know, you have Mariah the Scientist, you have Summer Walker, you have musicians active right now that are still actively putting out new music at a very consistent rate at that are taking the sound and doing it in a manner that feels filled with so much more charisma and so much more of a unique personality than what's being presented by Josiah Wise here. I mean, hell, the most recent Flo Milli album had a more interesting take on trap soul fusion than what's presented here, and I like Flo Milli, but, that's rough. Grip's production feels pretty sterile as well, with input from various producers such as No Such Thing, as well as Wise himself, not really doing much to make the sonic landscape of this record, the general soundscape going on here, feel particularly gripping in any way, pun kind of intended. I mean, a pretty solid appearance from Mick Jenkins on the track Black Air Force is just about the only thing this record really has going for it besides a pretty brief runtime. And that's kind of odd coming from me because I'm not even that big of a Mick Jenkins fan. He hasn't put out any projects since I've started this channel that I've really loved and I've covered on here before. I really find it kind of odd that a rapper who I'm not even a massive fan of is the highlight here for me. I think that kind of is a pretty accurate representation, if anything, about how I feel towards this record. As a whole, Grip feels like another letdown from Serpent with Feet that manages to kind of still feel like a slog despite being roughly 30 minutes in length. And as a whole, I just kind of hope that Josiah Wise manages to find his own lane creatively at some point in the future. The guy does have talent. He can be a strong vocalist. He can be an interesting figure. It just feels like he doesn't have a particularly unique voice right now, and the result of that is very bland, very insipid, very unmemorable, very indistinct R&B like what is being presented here. I'm going to give this record 2 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that is the end of this quick album review. I've been Zane from the Infinite Jukebox. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.